Hammett was born on November 1962 in San Francisco, California, and raised in the town of El Sobrante. He is the son of Teofila Chefela and Dennis L. Hammett. His mother is of Filipino descent and his father was of English, German, Scottish and Irish ancestry. He attended Anza High School in Richmond, California. While attending Anza High School he met Les Claypool of Primus and they remained close friends. Hammett has a well-known passion for horror movies that stretches back to the late 1960s. After spraining his arm in a fight with his sister at age 5, Hammett's parents placed him in front of the television. It was during this time that he first watched The Day of the Triffids. After that Hammett found himself drawn to his brother's Frankenstein figures and began spending his milk money on horror magazines. For the better part of the next decade Hammett dove deep into the horror scene. Hammett began showing an interest in music after listening to his brother Rick's extensive record collection. He began selling his horror magazines to buy music records, which led him to properly picking up the guitar at age 15. Hammett's first guitar was a wholly unglamorous Montgomery Ward catalog special, which was accompanied by a shoebox for an amp. After purchasing a 1978 Fender Stratocaster copy, Hammett attempted to customize his sound with various guitar parts before eventually buying a 1974 Gibson Flying V. Hammett's musical interests eventually drew him into the fledgling thrash metal genre. In 1979 he formed the band Exodus at the age of 16, along with vocalist Paul Bailoff, guitarist Tim Agnello, bassist Jeff Andrews and drummer Tom Hunting. Hammett named Exodus after the Leon Uris novel of the same name and played on the band's 1982 demo and its successor Die by His Hand from 1983. Exodus was an influential band in the Bay Area thrash movement. In 1983 Metallica traveled to the East Coast to record its debut album Kill 'Em All. Due to lead guitarist Dave Mustaine's substance abuse and violent tendencies, he was fired shortly after their arrival, and would eventually form the band Megadeth. Hammett received a phone call from Metallica on April and flew out to New York for an audition on April 11, the same day Mustaine was let go. Hammett has written a number of riffs for Metallica since Ride the Lightning. One of his riffs was used on Enter Sandman, which went on to become one of Metallica's most popular songs. It was the first track and the first single on the band's self-titled album and was ranked 399th on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest songs of all time. The bridge for Creeping Death was originally an Exodus riff that Hammett took with him to Metallica. In 1986, during the band's European leg of their tour to support Master of Puppets, the group had a dispute over sleeping arrangements on their tour bus. The outcome of the dispute was decided by a card draw, which Cliff Burton won by picking the Ace of Spades. Once the draw was completed, Burton looked at Hammett and said, "I want your bunk," to which Hammett complied, saying that he might be able to sleep better in the front of the bus anyway. In the early hours of the following morning, Metallica's tour bus slid off the road and overturned in Sweden. Burton was thrown through the window of the bus, which fell on top of Burton and subsequently killed him. Hammett has stated in an interview that he once thought that it easily could have been him who was killed instead, since Burton was sleeping in what was considered to be Hammett's bunk. Between the end of touring the Black Album and the start of touring in promotion of Load, he studied at San Francisco State University, focusing on film and Asian arts. Hammett went through a blues period around this time which had some influence on Metallica's Load and Reload albums. He also began listening to a lot of jazz music. Hammett described this period of his life as great education, because he was able to discover where all of his own rock influences had gotten their own guitar licks. However, even though jazz music had a profound effect on his improvisation skills and solos, Hammett felt that he was delving too deep into the genre. Since Death Magnetic, Hammett has gone back to being primarily a metal guitarist, but some of his influences of jazz and blues music still remain. Hammett wanted to have guitar solos on Metallica's 2003 album Saint Anger, but drummer Lars Ulrich and producer Bob Rock thought that the solos did not sound right in the songs. He later admitted himself, "We tried to put in solos but they sounded like an afterthought, so we left them out." Recording for Saint Anger was halted in 2001 so that Metallica frontman James Hetfield could enter rehab for alcohol abuse. Due to tensions within the band at the time, Hammett expressed interest in working on a solo album. According to Hammett, if he ever worked on a solo album it wouldn't be Super Duty heavy metal and may include some classical guitarists. On April 2009 Hammett along with Metallica bandmates Lars Ulrich, James Hetfield and Robert Trujillo and former Metallica bandmates Jason Newsted and the deceased Cliff Burton, were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In 2009 Hammett provided the foreword to British author Joel McIver's book To Live As To Die: The Life and Death of Metallica's Cliff Burton. In April 2015 Hammett admitted to losing his phone which contained 250 new ideas for Metallica's upcoming studio release. The incident happened about 6 months prior to the admission. In 2016 Hammett provided the foreword to author Greg Prado's book German Metal Machine Scorpions in the 70s. On February 2022 it was announced that Hammett would release an extended play entitled Portals, said to be inspired by classical music, soundtracks, horror movies and maybe a little Ennio Morricone. The play is his solo debut and was released on April 2022.